Imagine a group of people who work to destroy Italy because they claimed Italy's origins are illegitimate. Imagine further that these people maintain that of all the countries in the world, only Italy doesn't deserve to exist.
Hello guys and welcome back to a new episode of Italian Politician of the Week. I am Ippernick, the great is silent, and today we are talking about Mimmo Lucano, the mayor of Riace and the man responsible for the Riace model, a system designed to integrate refugees and to revive small countryside communities. Lucano was born in 1958 in Melito di Porto Salvo, a small town near Riace with an unnecessarily long name. Lucano wanted to be a doctor and attended medical school in Rome for 4 years before dropping out, going back to Calabria and becoming a school teacher. Riace is a small town in southern Calabria, one of the many towns and villages around Italy which is falling victim to the side effects of urbanization. Riace's declining population was far from beneficial for the economy. Businesses were closing down for lack of workers and customers. The local school was also about to close because it had no more students, and many of the houses were abandoned since the owners were either dead or had moved elsewhere. Things changed in the 90s when a ship full of Kurdish refugees landed on the coast. The villagers gave the families shelter with the help of Lucano, who was just a private citizen at the time, but in 1999 he founded Azione Futura, an association dedicated to the integration and well-being of refugees. Lucano's work got the attention of many investors and activists who brought tourists and new business to the town. Thanks to the newfound attention and the funds that come with it, Lucano taught the migrants the language and a craft, and when the new businesses were opened, the migrants helped to manage them alongside the locals. Lucano's legacy is just astounding. You don't even have to put your political stances aside to see that. His mission to give refugees a new life and new opportunities at the expense of nobody is marvelous. Lucano will be elected mayor in 2004, a position he will keep until 2018. Many towns tried to incorporate this new revitalization program, though they were not as successful as Riace, mostly because they were more oriented towards the profit rather than the well-being of the people they were saving. Although in their defense it will be Lucano's inability to say no that got him into trouble in the end. But let's take this story one step at a time. Refugees landing on our coast is nothing new. It is actually a very common thing that has been happening for generations. We hear of it a lot today because it's an easy way to gather votes. When I say this, I don't mean it's overblown and therefore we shouldn't focus on it, because we should, but probably not for the reason you were thinking. You see, the migrant crisis is a business for many people. Some see them as cheap labor, others see them as nothing more than numbers to put in poorly maintained centers that get 35 euros per day for each migrant they host. The depersonalization of these people who came here for better lives but are instead reduced to single units to add on a multiplication for profit can understandably push many of them to crime or to insanity. Lucano, with his humanity and complete understanding of the phenomena of immigration and the struggle these people go through to get there, provided them with another chance to redeem themselves and help him build a decaying town from the ground up. With the funds received by various investors and the EU, he bought and renovated hundreds of houses where many foreign families now live. Over the years, Lucano earned the respect and political support of many people in the far left, such as former mayor of Naples De Magistris and most of the Democratic Party. He was even nominated third best mayor in the world by the City Mayors Foundation. However, things were far from perfect. because the Riace plan had its limits. Over the years, interior ministers like Maroni and Minniti gave Lucano a lot of trouble. They will send him wave after wave of migrants and then giving him shit for not doing the paperwork for all of them, which was made a lot harder by the confusing regulations implemented on the matter. By 2017, Lucano started to fall under the radar of the law, which started to get concerned over some irregularities in his activity, because Lucano couldn't be bothered to deal with all the paperwork. Many of his collaborators tried to help him, but he refused, probably undermining the gravity of the situation. In 2018, he will be put under investigation of criminal association that profited from the reception and lives of migrants, and he will be forced to resign from his position as mayor, since he wasn't allowed back in town. This only accelerated his activism. In fact, he ran for the regional council of Calabria last October. However, only 4 days before election day, the Lockery court sentenced him at first instance for 13 years and 2 months of imprisonment. The judges found him guilty of conspiracy, embezzlement, aggravated fraud, forgery, and abuse of office. The sentence was clearly political, not only because of the length of the prison time, but also for the timing and exaggerated list of crimes. Remember though, this is not the final sentence. This is the first instance sentence, which means the trial has barely started. And even if we take his guilt for granted, he won't stay in prison for 13 years, because the charges don't match. In fact, the public prosecutor initially planned to give him just 7 years at most. These year's administrative elections have led to the discovery of many scandals involving the right, such as the Black Baron and the Morisi situation, so it is not hard to imagine how Salvini and Meloni decided to use this story to their favor. Of course, their scandals were a lot more serious. The Black Baron is the nickname of a man working for the party who gathered illegal campaigning funds for a few European parliamentarians back in 2018. A few weeks before the elections, a bunch of videos were released of these people openly talking about these donations and doing fascist salutes at their rallies, while the Morisi scandal involved Salvini's propagandist Luca Morisi, who was responsible for most of Lega's social media presence, which mainly spread hate and anger towards sexual and ethnic minorities. While Morisi had resigned from his position after he was found in possession of coke and LSD while in the company of 2 male escorts. Yikes. Which isn't that bad on its own, don't get me wrong, but it's very hypocritical and disgusting given the circumstances. Now that I got that out of the way, let's continue looking over Lucano's case. While it is true that his actions are an amazing example of humanity and proof that there is still good in the world, it is also true that he could have avoided all the mess if he had only swallowed his pride and accepted the help of others. I think he should have also had the guts to say no to the imposition of the governments that sent to Riace all the migrants nobody else wanted. Perhaps if he had spent some time enrolling new mayors or activists that could help him apply his model in other towns around the country instead of falling to megalomania, maybe, and I say maybe, he could have prevented the trouble with the law. I don't think he is guilty of what they say, but my judgment is certainly not the one of a judge or anyone who has any concrete proof. That being said though, I really wish him and the people he saved truly the best. I'm not too invested on the topic of immigration. Of course, I think that should be regulated and these people should integrate to the language and the culture, but the issue is misrepresented too often. There is a lot of misinformation in regards to this topic on the right-wing parts of the internet, and while I do not have any grudges on the people with conservative stances, I don't like when they treat Salvini's or Meloni's words as gospel, because most of what they say is bullshit, and then these same people who just watched a couple of subtitled clips on the topic call me a liar. My favorites are the Italians who think I'm a foreigner foreigner, and so they tried to explain to me that I got it wrong and that Mussolini was actually a good guy, but I wouldn't be able to comprehend it because all the real documents are in Italian. Like, bro, do me a favor and shut the fuck up and go chug the first thing you find under the sink. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to take a small break for the holidays. I will be back with a big surprise video at the beginning of the year. Then we will proceed with the regular schedule of Italian Politician of the Week. Happy holidays. I will see you very soon.